it's Wendy, and today we are going to make a bracelet similar to this one. And this, I think, turned out so pretty. I actually originally did the tutorial for this one, but I had some flaws in there and it was just kind of crazy, and so I just decided I would do another one for the tutorial. But this is what it looks like when it's on. It's really pretty. And we are going to make another one of these. So this one was made using all like pearls and champagne color and silvers. Today we are going to use, oops, there's earrings to go with it too. We are going to use products from Sam's bead box. So Sam sent these gorgeous, this month's bead box was so pretty. He had these mookaite beads in there. Look at these. And these were jasper, I believe. And then he had some carnelian in this box this month. And then these, I'm not sure what they are. I will have to look them up. I'm sorry, but I think one of them was carnelian, and not sure about this one. It was an opal maybe. Opal something. But anyway, all of these were in the box. He had these gorgeous flowers that I love. And then he had, of course, his mixes of check glass. And so I've pulled out some of the orange check glass beads that have this beautiful like marbling or wispy effect in there. I love these. And these little drops here. So little champagne drops. So that's what we're going to use. These are the beads that we're going to use. Now, Sam's box is $39 a month plus shipping. It has tons of wonderful stuff. Like these are all gemstone beads. Look at this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strands of gemstones this month. Plus we got a bunch of flowers. There's more of these. I have an unboxing that I'll link in the description box below. But if you're interested, it's all check glass. It's just beautiful stuff. If you're interested in subscribing, I will put that information in the description box, and if you use my name, Wendy, just my name, Wendy, you can get $5 off of your first month's box. So it's a pretty good deal there. So anyway, we're using these beads, and then we're going to use these little connectors. Now these did not come from Sam's box, and I had these in my stash. But all you need, you can use any chandelier connector. You just need two. It needs to be a 2-strand one down to 1 strand. Now, on this one, I'll show you, I actually had a 3-strand, 1, 2, 3, down to 1, and I just glued a crystal in the little extra hole. Couldn't think of the name of it. The little extra spot there, I just glued a crystal. So that's super simple. And if you have like a 4, same thing, you could just glue some crystals in. But it does have to at least be 2, because that's the width of this bracelet. It's going to be 2 beads, okay? I have some chain here. This is these are 2mm links. And the reason that they're so tiny is because your head pin has to go through this chain and not go through all the way. Like the flat part of your head pin has to stop it, so it won't go completely through the chain. And if you use anything very big, then that won't work. Now what I did on this bracelet, if you can see, I used spacer beads because my head pins actually were too small and would go through. So I did the head pin, a spacer bead, and then the piece of chain, and then the bead. You could do that, but I really didn't like the look of the spacer beads up there. I kind of wanted something just a little more streamlined for this one. So I'm just going to use smaller chain, okay? And you just need enough chain for the length of your, however long you need your bracelet to be. So, but you're going to need 2 pieces of it, 2 doubled up. So 1 and 1, just like this. So if it's 6 inches or 7 inches, whatever, And then you need to account for your clasp. And it does not look like I brought my lobster clasp down here. Okay, I'll have to run and get it, but I'm going to be using a lobster clasp. I'm outside on the deck, so I tried to bring everything out here. It's beautiful today, and I apparently forgot my lobster clasp. But yeah, so you need to account for that. So you're going to want to lay this out like this. There's an ant on my beads. Get off. You're going to want to lay this out like this and account for your lobster when you're figuring in how long you want your chains to be. So sorry, I was trying to get the ant off there. So this ends up being about 2 inches by the time I put my lobster in there, just a little bit more. So I will need about 4.5 inches of chain because my wrist is kind of small. So just account for that when you're measuring your chain. Make sure you're adding in your ending there, you're finding your closure. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make all of our connections in that we're going to put on our chain. So like I said, I'm going to measure this out, and I'm probably 4.5 is probably good for me, like right here, but I think I'm going to go 5 just to be safe, because I know this is probably, it's going to be about 2 inches or a little less, so I just want to be safe. I don't want it to be too short, so I'm going to cut right at about 5 inches for my chain, because sometimes the chain kind of shrinks up a little bit too when you put your beads on. It just draws up. So, and one good way to measure your chain, just here's a pro tip, you stick your eye pin in here and your eye pin in here, and you just hang them together, and then you can see exactly where you need to cut without having to count a bunch of links. Easy, easy peasy. Okay, so there we have it. So we've got our 2 little chains here, right like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our bigger beads. These are 8mm, both of these are. This is the Mookaite and this is the Jasper, so I'm just going to cut this. And I'm going to pick out, I definitely want some of the yellow and the mix. I love the Mookaite that has the mix in there like this, where it's part yellow, part whatever else. They're just so pretty. So I'm going to use a lot of those from the Mookaite, and then I'm going to mix in some of these Jasper because they're a more, they're not as red. They're kind of more orangey. So that looks pretty good. Let me see. I don't know how many I'm going to need. Maybe one more. Let's see. Let's do another yellow one down here. Okay. So those look pretty good. I'll probably stick right about with that. So let me move these out of the way. And if I need some extras, I can grab them. Okay. So what we're going to do is you are going to take your head pin. You're going to put it on your chain like this. Then you're going to put your bead on. And then you're going to go through your other chain, just like this. Okay? So that's what it's going to look like. We're going to make a loop. So we're just going to take our head pin, and we're going to, you know what? I'm doing this wrong. Hold on, guys. Rewind. This needs to be an eye pin. I'm very, very sorry. This first one has to be an eye pin. The rest will be head pins. And I've got that stuck on there now, don't I? Because this is bent. The rest will be head pins, but I forgot. This first one does have to be an eye pin because it's got to have a loop on both ends for these to hook onto. I'm glad I remembered at the beginning though, because the last one I did, I remembered that at the end, and that was not very good. Okay, so here we go. Eye pin. I'm going to use this yellow one. And then my other chain. Okay, and I'm doing them right down on the very ends, just like this, the very first link of the chain. Now this will work. Okay, so one thing that you want to do when you're doing this is you want there to be just a tad bit of movement in here. You don't want the chain to be smashed down to where there's no movement, because if you do, it's going to be stiff. So go up a little bit from your chain, not a whole lot. I mean, you don't want a huge amount. You don't want everything like flying around everywhere on there, but you just want a little, you want it to have just that little bit of movement. Okay, so go ahead, cut your excess off and make your loop. Okay, just like this. Alright, and you want to make sure your loop's closed really good so your chain doesn't come out. And there's our first little link. Now, what we have to do is we have to kind of lay this out, and we have to look at how far apart we need to put these eye pins, or these head pins. Now we're using head pins because you obviously can't put it in the very next one. So it looks to me, when I lay this out, looks like it's the hole of the bead is right about here. So I'm going to skip 3. I'm going to put my eye pin in here, put my bead on, and this gets a little easier after you get a few of them under your belt because it's a little hard to hang on to at first. And then I'm going to skip 3 on the top. Get down here. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go through this guy right here, the 4th one. Okay. Now, one thing you have to make sure of when you're doing this, and this is a little fiddly, but you can do it, is just hang the chain, hold this up and let gravity pull the chain. You want to make sure that the links are not twisted. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I need to go through this 4th one, and I'm just letting it hang kind of naturally, and that's the way it hangs. So that's the way I want to put my eye pin or my head pin through. So there's no twisting in the chain, and it's going to go straight. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so here's what we've got. Now, you want to make sure, as we're doing this all the way down the line here, that all of the loops, except for obviously this first one has a loop on each end, but now we need all of the loops to be on the same side. Okay, so if I start it with my loop up at the top, I want to make sure I put all the loops up here, okay? So again, I'm giving my chain just a little bit of room in there so it's not too tight. I'm going to bend this at a 90-degree angle. I am going to cut. And I'm going to go ahead and roll my loop back. Okay, just like this. Make sure that your loop is closed. And there's what we've got. Now if your chain's twisted up, just kind of lay everything back out flat. Just like that. And I think the 3 between them is pretty well perfect because that looks like it's laying good. Okay, so now again, an eye pin. I'm going to skip 3, go in the 4th one, put my bead on, skip 3, and go in the 4th one. Again, just like this. Keeping my loop end at the top, making sure that everything has a little room for movement and it's not going to get bound up and that my chain isn't twisted. Okay, and I'm going to do a loop. Make sure you don't cut your chain when you're cutting your wire. I've done that before. That's annoying. All right, so roll your loop back. Make sure it's closed up really good so your chain doesn't slip out. And there is our 3rd one. Okay. It looks like 3 is just about perfect. 3 in between I think is going to work. So I'm going to do another yellow one. I'll do one more here with you and then I will pause the camera and you can do the rest on your own just so you don't have to watch me because that's kind of boring. So 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Now this one's kind of turned sideways, so I just want to lay my chain out. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we're going to go right up through there. Put my yellow bead on. 1, 2, 3, and go right up through this one. Okay, right like this. Make sure that you have some room in there. Oh, the birds they're aggravated because I am out here and they can't, well, they can get to the bird feeders, but they don't want to. They're afraid of me. Okay. Now, if it looks like that your beads are hitting a little too close, like this one seems a little too close for me, I may skip one more link and just give it some room to breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go in the 5th one. I've been skipping 3, but I think I'll do 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go in the 5th one. And that's fine. I mean, it's not going to be noticeable that you've skipped an extra one. All it's going to do is give your beads a little room and they're not bound up and tight. And that's what we want. So see, even though I skipped 4 here, I mean, you're not going to notice that. Nobody's going to go, oh my God, she skipped 4 instead of 3. So just do what you have to do to make it lay right. Okay? And that's important. And again, leaving just a little room for movement here. I'm going to make my loop. And roll this right back. And there we go. Okay, so keep on doing your little connectors until you get all the way to the end, and you want to do it on your last loop over here, but make sure when you do your last one, you do an eye pin, okay? So do the rest of yours and come on back and we'll finish. Okay, so I wanted to point something out while I was doing this. So I am, as you can see, almost down to the end of where I'm making my connections. And I've had to do 3s and 4s. I've had to skip like, so like between this one I skipped 4, this one I skipped 3, this one I skipped 3. I just am kind of measuring as I go. So, you know, when I put this yellow one on right here, I'll go 1, 2, 3. Here's where I normally would do it. I would normally put it through this 4th one, and it feels like that's going to be fine for now. But if when I started to put this on, it was tight, you know, like I could feel like it was too tight, then I would just skip another one. And I know I said this a minute ago, but I just wanted y'all to know that you may have to do that, you know, randomly throughout your whole thing. You just want to make it to where it's not tight and it's not, you know, it's got room for movement. It should be fluid. It should move like this. It shouldn't be stiff. So, you know, if you feel like it's too tight, then err on the side of making it a little bit looser. You know, skip that one extra link in there and just make sure that there's room for movement. So my next one, I can already probably tell because these two are pretty close together. So if I did this on the 4th bead, or the 4th loop here, it would probably be a little bit too tight. We'll see. So there's the 3, here's my 4. So I'm going to put this guy on here. And then when I go, yeah, so I can tell, like right here, when I'm trying to put it, to get it, there's the 3, here's my 4, but it's very tight. So I don't want that. I'm going to skip one, and I'm going to go 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to go up the 5th one. And it's going to be a lot, it'll make it to where it's just not so tight. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's number 5, right here. Get up through there. And as you can see, that's perfect. So you have to, probably going to have to do that several places throughout your bracelet, not just, you know, every other one or every couple of ones. You may have to do it more. I just wanted to kind of point that out. So it's fine to do that. You definitely don't want your bracelet to be tight and bound up. So whatever you have to do to give it a little fluid, you know, movement. And, you know, now watch, I'll show you how when I get this closed here. So see how fluid and it just moves easy. It's kind of, it's really nice. So we're just about at the end, so we'll go ahead and just do these last couple. Let's do a dark one, or let's do an orange one. I haven't done an orange one for a little bit. Okay, so now I'm gonna skip 3 and go up the 4. Oh my goodness, some bird up there is losing its mind. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, up the 4th one. He is very loud. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what he's doing. 1, 2, 3. Here's the 4th one. There we go. And see, that is not too tight. I can get up through there. It actually, it is a little tight, but it's not. It's okay. It's not like, it's not going to bind it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this one. When we first moved here, we have woods behind our house. Not like, you know, forest woods, but trees. And you can't see, like, there's apartments back there, I think, somewhere, but you can't see them from our back deck because the trees are kind of thick. Okay, last one here. And there was something out there that sounded like a monkey. I'm not even joking. It sounded just like a monkey. Now I'm going to go in the very last one here because I'm not going to have room to do 2 more. So I'm just going to go in the very last hole. Very last link. And I was like, did somebody like turn their pet monkey loose and it's living out there in the woods behind our house? Because it sounded just like a monkey. So I started Googling it, and there is a woodpecker that sounds when it's like their mating call. They sound just like a monkey. And I played it on you know, you could play the sound on Google or whatever. I searched it there, and it sounded just exactly like what was in our backyard. So there's a woodpecker out there. Now he's been on there's a couple woodpeckers that have been on the bird feeder that I've seen. One is red-headed with black and white spots, and then the other one is a little like blue colored one. So I don't know which one it was, but some woodpecker sounds just like a monkey, just so you know. And it lives in our backyard. All right, so we're done. Look, we've got all of our, you know what I didn't do? I told you guys to, but I didn't do it. I didn't put an eye pin on the end here. I gotta fix that. I got busy talking. All right, let's do an eye pin. So this is what it will look like when you're, you know, down to your last little link. And it should, like I said, it should have movement. It should be fluid. If it's too tight, you want to take it apart and redo it. You do not want it to be too tight. So this is perfect right here, I think. All right. Now, what we're going to do after I get this loop back here, oops, there we go, straighten that up. Okay, so here's what we've got. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hook our connections on either end, and we're going to do this with a jump ring. So I've got some jump rings here. You may have to use a little bit larger of a jump ring, just because, let's see, what are these right here? These might be good. Just because you've got your bead there. You've got to account for the space for your bead. And this is another place that you do not want it to be too tight and bound up. So let's see if just one of these, this is like a 6mm jump ring. Let's see if this will work. If not, I may have to add a 6mm and a smaller one. I just don't want it to be too tight there, okay? And you want to put this on to where it's going to lay, so kind of lay this out on your bead mat and put your jump ring to where it's going to lay flat and not be twisted. Okay, so there's one. Okay. And my jump ring is not laying flat. It's twisted. What did I do? I guess I put it on upside down. Let me fix that. Because this has to lay flat. There we go. I had it on upside down. Alright. But it does look like the 6mm jump ring is going to be a good size, I believe. Okay, so let's put the other one on. Just like this. Take our bead. There's a gnat flying around me. That's the only thing I hate about outside are bugs. I'm not a bug person. Don't like them, not one bit. Alright. I like lizards and I like frogs and other creatures, but not bugs or spiders. I don't like either one. Ladybugs are okay. Praying mantises are cool. Not that I want to touch one, but they're cool. Alright, so there we have our two little jump rings holding that in. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. Okay. Again, I want to put it on to where it's not twisted. So this looks good. And sometimes it's better if you just let go of your plier and do it with your fingers to at least get it on, because you have to have these laying right. If you don't get them laying right, your whole thing's going to be screwed up. And it's not wanting to go through. Am I going to have to use two jump rings here on this end? I think I am. Yep, it's a little too tight on this end, so I'm going to add another jump ring, a smaller one, not a big one. So I've got these little 4mm. I will just add one of those. That'll just keep it from being too tight here on the end. I don't know why it is. I guess maybe it just because it wasn't on the other end, but that's okay. We'll just add our little 4mm jump rings here, and that'll solve that problem. Okay, put our 6mm back on, just like this, and put this one on. Alright, just like that. There we go. That's much better. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it is really important with this that it lays right and it's not bound up. Close this jump ring a little bit better. Alright, so here's what we've got. We have got our 2 ends and our whole little bracelet here. So now what we're going to do, this is going to require a lot of head pins and some eye pins and time. So we're going to make dangles. Each one of these needs to have a dangle coming down. I'm going to use these flowers in here, so I'm going to kind of spread them out because I've got 4 of these. And I do want them, so I'm going to kind of spread them out. And then I'm going to use these other beads all throughout. So let me cut these open, cut these off the strand. Cut this off the strand. These are so pretty. Okay, cut these off. Alright. Now, the thing with this is you do not want it to all be the same, okay? Or I guess you could. I mean, if you want to make it the same, fine. I don't want to make mine the same. I want them to all be different. I want there to be a lot of variety and such. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a bunch of dangles. So like this first one, I'm going to do one of these carnelian beads, one of these little opal beads, and one of these guys. So like this, except for I'm going to put this on an eye pin actually instead of a head pin, and I'm going to link up a couple different ones. So we'll do this like this. Use your imagination here. Just make it, you know, use your creativity. You don't have to make them all the same. There's no pattern to it unless you want to, and if you want to, then by all means, go for it. Okay, so I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to take a head pin. And I'm going to dangle this guy from the bottom. Just like that. So I've got a little link there, actually, or a little, I've created my own little beaded chain element. And this does take some time to get all your dangles done. But when you're done, and you get this all put together, look how pretty. It's beautiful. So go ahead and just create, you need one for each of these loops across the bottom of your bracelet. And just be creative, do whatever you want, but create a bunch of dangles across the bottom and then come on back. Okay, so I'm back and I've got all of my dangles made here. So now all I'm going to do is just connect them all. So if you have 2, like this one, this little one here is going to dangle off of this one. Then you just want to connect them together. I've done that on most of them, but it looks like I forgot a couple. Okay, make sure all of your links are closed really good, and you're just going to connect your tops to the loops up here, okay? Now, I don't want to use jump rings to do this. You can if you want to, but I'm just going to connect them directly onto my loops. They dangle just fine. They don't really need a jump ring, I don't think. So, but like I said, if you want to do that, you can, okay? So here's how it is. You know, it's just going to dangle right off of there. So go ahead and connect everything together down here and come on back. Okay, so here we have all our dangles on. It is so pretty. This mookaite is just it's beautiful. All right, so now we're just going to put our lobster clasp on. So I'm going to put it on with this little twisted jump ring. I'm hoping it'll fit. It does fit there, and it does fit here. Okay, that's a good thing. Sometimes the little twisted rings, you can't get them to fit on hardly anything. They're kind of thick, but I think they're so pretty. Okay, so let's close this up. Alright, there's that. And then I'm just going to use this bigger ring for the other end. Sadie, come back here. Sadie's running loose. I'm afraid she's going to sneak off. She likes to sneak off into the neighbor's yard. Sadie, come here. Come on. And if I can get this one closed, this is a big one. It's thick. There we go. There we go. And there is our other end for the lobster. So I can't get this on. I know I cannot clasp it on myself. I just can't. But it fits perfectly. When it's clasped, it'll fit perfectly. And I'm just trying to show you what it looks like on. So this is what they look like. They are so pretty. I love these bracelets. They just turn out so pretty. They're so dangly. I always get compliments when I wear them. So yeah, there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. When I get to 10,000, I'm going to do a Facebook Live video with a tutorial and give away what we make in that. And then I'm going to give away 2 $50 gift certificates to Bead Box Bargains. So yeah, you have to be a subscriber though. So like and subscribe and help me get to 10,000 so we can get that done. That's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, there is our bracelet. I will put links for Sam's bead box in the description box below and the unboxing. Yeah, so this turned out really pretty. I really like it. And I am going to get off here and get some other things done, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.